part of our goal here was to make sure that the men and women from the military, I'm not a veteran, my father was, and Susie's dad was, but I knew that there were a lot of young men and women coming home looking like I did, and if they were having phantom limb pain like I was, that I had that magic bullet for them. And it sounds crazy, but my family, by giving me that race car, gave me permission to dream. And I wanted to make sure that these young men and women knew that it's okay to dream again. And I use the analogy of the phoenix a lot. I've looked for a long time and I found the perfect image of it. And if you look closely, it's each wing is a separate bird, and that's Susie and I coming together out of the fire. And this year we replaced that with a Purple Heart for the men and women of the armed services. And because one of the legends, the Inuit believe, they also reinvent themselves. And that's what I'm asking these young men and women to do. If you look at it, it's kind of a cool time of year. It's Thanksgiving, and I know it takes a while to be grateful, but part of our lesson was to show these young men and women that if I can do this at 44, at 24, I need you to pick a dream and never say stop. And that's in their nature anyway. These people were service-oriented. They sacrificed and gave to their country, and they do not quit. So this is an easy transition for them. And while we were up at Walter Reed, they talked to me about the Wounded Warrior Project. I had never really heard about it. And what they do is a multifaceted organization. But one of the things is Soldier Ride, and they take men and women from VA hospitals across this country and get them on bicycles and recumbents, and in my case, a hand cycle, and we make them ride their bikes for 100 miles in a week. And something happens to them, like happens to me in the race car and the bobsled. What I've lost becomes what still remains. And what I can't do becomes what I'm capable of, 1 mile at a time, surrounded by men and women who have had similar experiences in war. And so for me, it's an overwhelming, humbling experience. That first ride through Washington, D.C., I sobbed the entire way. It was the most amazing experience I'd ever had, and it wasn't my awesome crew in Indianapolis or an awesome race car. It was Michael, on Mike's terms. And I wanted to share that. And like I said, I'm a simple racer, dude, so I went to Boston Scientific and Snap-on Tools, my race team sponsors, and talked to them about this experience I had and how important it was in that process of healing to get back and to remember what we've still been given. And through their generous sponsorship, they've allowed me to participate in 16 Warrior Rides this year. I have 1,700 miles with these guys and was challenged to do my first marathon with them, and I did it in 2 hours and 13 minutes. And for me, it was just that moment. 5 years ago, before the innovation and the technology and the doctors thinking outside the box, I used Miracle to a lady in South Carolina last week when we were racing, and she kind of yelled at me. And I respect that, understand it, but had you seen where this family was 5 years ago, it was everything we had prayed for, and that kind of became our call to action of how to, share what we've been given, and especially with the men and women who have given so much for me. Basically, dude, I do the most selfish job in the world because these guys are doing their job so well. And I want them to know that, we're all facing challenges, but together we're always stronger. I would have never thought it. If you look back, it's kind of funny, but in that car, like I said, not only was I whole and complete, but I was very good. We won a championship that first year and struggled through all those revisions, and it was just a process of growing that my family and my race team used that race car as a golden carrot for me to get better. And I would have done anything to get back in the car. I worked as hard as I had to do, and that's exactly what we did. And so we've won a couple of championships, some major races, a Rookie of the Year nomination, and really was working our way through Formula Car racing, similarly to stock car racing in NASCAR, but this time into the Indy 500. My dad and I grew up in Chicago, and he was an Italian who loved motorsports, and we always shared that, and so we went to Indy in 1998 saying I wanted to come and race the 500. We've worked on a set of goals, and there was some leadership change. So when I went back there last year for my IndyCar test to get permission to do it, I was denied my hand throttle. So, again, you get right to the preface, and a door closes, and I get a call from Tampa, and a gentleman asked me if I ever thought of land speed racing, and I'm like, no, sir, I never have. And we went out and set a record in the test run and another record in the next test run, and then took it out to Bonneville. And, I was overwhelmed. These are these legends of speed out here, dude. And I was able to set a record. It took us all week, and it was probably, up to that point, the most challenging thing I ever did. What you have to do is once you break a speed barrier, you get impounded, and then you come back tomorrow and you repeat in the same mile, which means I had to go a certain speed at the same time. And for us, I wasn't able to do it the first 5 days. And on the last day, 2 hours before Susie and I catch a flight out of Salt Lake City, we were able to do it. It was probably, propelled me into believing I could do anything. I mean, that was so overwhelming for us, and the pressure was enormous. But then again, it felt so natural in the car, and I was really good at it. And I think that we've just used that success onto other avenues. This year with the marathon, I trained so hard for this marathon, and to be able to do it in under Paralympic time is, it was just overwhelming for me. We had invested so much energy, and again, each time showing everyone around us, you can reinvent yourself every single day. It doesn't take a life-changing illness or, dreams. It's more so about the destination is what I want them to know, that, my dreams are ever-changing and evolving. And as a result of setting that record, funny how life works, I was able to go to California and asked to be a speaker at the Amputee Coalition of America conference. And while there, met a guy from the U.S. Adaptive Bobsled team, and he's there looking for a pusher. And can I sit in your ride? I'm a racer. I got to sit in your ride. And I sat in that car, and it looked exactly like I was looking out of my Formula car. And I'm like, I think I can do this. I have 5,000 competitive race miles, and we started talking about it, and we became the first person of disabilities to be qualified in an able-bodied bobsled. And for me, it was, when I was at my lowest point, Susie wrote a beautiful letter to Team Chevrolet and Coca-Cola about, I was racing Chevys at the time, but about our experiences. And I was able to be a torchbearer for the 2002 Salt Lake Games. And, something on that day changed. I mean, I'm not being glib, but, the theme of it was light the fire within. And it certainly did that, and to be able to go back there 10 years later on that course that I carried the torch for, and, through all the illnesses and all the surgeries and all the defeats to that moment yesterday, or rather Saturday, was the greatest day I've ever had. I was never so honored, I say, to be named a representative of this nation and our athletes, and have the chance to go to Sochi, Russia in the 2014 Games. And for me, it's just, a little overwhelming. It's hard for me to imagine. I woke up this morning and told Susie it was the first time I've slept since Saturday last night. I was just so excited. And, I've always shared those Olympic moments with my father and my son. And now for him to see, at the end of this, that this evolution is still taking place. I'm still rising from the ashes, that it's a process, and that I'm not sure where it will go, but I hope to be in Austria in January of 2011 doing the Innsbruck World Cup, and trying to help the world realize that people of disabilities, I hate that term, people of challenges, can do amazing things. We just have to do it a little differently. And I've always striven for that avenue where I can compete on their terms. There's nothing I like better than winning a Formula car race, hopping out in victory lane, and have the losing crew chief go, no way, because he doesn't even know I have one leg. And the same thing this last week up in Utah, to have the Olympic teams from South Korea and New Zealand, the Netherlands. And I'm sliding with these guys, these Olympic champions. I'm going, who would have thought it? And it was all because I didn't give up hope. And we wanted to make sure, that message was received. The website is Help, Hope, and Heroes. those are the three things I needed most. Help with my pain, hope I could get my life back, and a hero and a pain management doctor who thought outside of the box. And we're just trying to continue that message out to wherever we can. And if it's through the Paralympic Games or the able-bodied Olympics, I don't care. I'm competing. To me, it's not a color of a medal. It's life on life's terms. It's today, living that dream that I've been given, that second chance. And, I'm on my second marriage. Susie is the love of my life. And, this is my second implant and my second career. So I'm a firm believer, and sometimes, second chances can lead to greatness. It's hard to describe where I was at 3 a.m. when Susie and the kids were asleep, and the pain was so overwhelming, and I couldn't figure out a way out of this chasm. And I'm promising you that there's a way out of your chasm, and that all I need you to do is get through tonight. Tomorrow morning, reach out and ask for help through your pain doctor, through the raceagainstpain.com website, to controlyourpain.com. If you're having neuropathic pain like I was, you don't have to live in the hell that you are or the hell I was. The technology and the innovations have come so far in the last 5 years and continue to evolve that your answer may be out there and you're just unaware of it. So if you're not seeing a pain management specialist, get to one. There's one all over your area. Go to raceagainstpain.com, type in your zip code, get to a pain management specialist, and follow his advice.
Experience the Pain Center of Arizona and get back into life. Call 1-888-PAIN-CENTER.